Welcome to another unauthorized and rum-fueled treasure hunt in the sharky waters around the Gatsby Islands with Gatsby deep diving pirate princess Ray. Lilian.
This is turning dark very quickly.
Deep diving Queen Benedicta Ray. Pirate Paul.
Hello.
Yeah. And the pirate scribe Ola. Hello.
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 Listen to the girls.
We had like 4 viewers and now we have 2.
We're off to a good start.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. Okay, Lilian, kan du gå på sofaen?
Are we
I
doing?
need my keyboard.
Are we doing funky Googlytics?
We are doing groovy analytics. Yeah. Sorry. Do you want me to explain what we're doing, or are you doing it, Benedicta?
You do it. This is your thing.
Okay.
This is your
So
thing.
this week we're going to be working on my Gatsby Funk Jam entry, which is called Groovy Analytics. I've done some work on it so far, but to keep it in line with Summer Functions, and the theme this week was to get live data into the site by polling it.
The challenge.
Sorry, the challenge. So last night I deployed a little feature on Groovy Analytics, and maybe Benedicta can share it at some point, in an attempt to capture some comments from people, and those will be the data that we show in the site tonight, and we'll write a little polling function to make sure that it never goes stale. Unlikely I'm gonna have that many comments on the site that we need to do it, but it's a method you can use for other purposes, I guess. And a really cool thing, we're going to be doing it in TypeScript, which we've not really covered at all so far. But Gatsby works with TypeScript out of the box, and so do functions. So there you go. There we go.
Cool.
There's
I got it running. So, I also have a sword here where I'm supposed to be typing. So, gonna give that back to the princess so she can kill me.
No killing.
No killing. No animals or humans were harmed in the making of this stream. We hope.
No.
Okay. Yeah. So do you want to just jump into it? What was I going to show? Yeah. So you can log in with Twitter.
I didn't do that.
Ooh, and then when we are back, so I've already done that. So I accepted Paul's outrageous demands.
Oh yeah, I got my Twitter permissions wrong. So I wanted everything, including your bank details. I've changed that now.
No, I actually didn't. I waited. Somebody called you out on Twitter. John was very good and called you out on the permissions. So I've left a comment. We can do another one. We can do streaming comment. So I guess what you want us to do now, well, let's see if this works. So I didn't check it this far, if I have all of your permissions correct. Looks like I haven't. Yeah.
Oh, God.
Oh, I copy-pasted these straight from your instructions, so I did not spell them wrong this time.
Oh, that worked. Look, there you go.
It worked. Yeah, it just took. Our internet is not doing so good.
Yeah, I realized the UI is not ideal for that, but I mean, I threw it together whilst drunk last night. But anyway, it doesn't matter. There's, I guess, one thing to.
That's how we roll. So Ineza is super excited for TypeScript.
Ah, good. See, I told you it was a good idea.
Yes. I don't know why. I really enjoyed using TypeScript myself, but I don't know. I've been colored by everyone like nagging on it on Twitter. So anyway, it's very groovy, but we are going to start by removing this very groovy globe because my computer will not handle streaming and this globe. Isn't that what you were saying to me before the show,
Yeah,
Paul?
I think when FreeJS runs with developments, Gatsby's dev server, and you're streaming, I think it's going to grind to a halt. So if you go to pages index and then on line 41.
Okay, we have a little bit of an issue here with the princess. I'm just going to talk amongst yourselves.
Okay,
I can go
all right.
talk to her. I can talk to her.
Who's talking on stream though? That's probably the more important bit.
It's
Isn't
you.
It? Oh right, okay, fine. So I just have to vamp for a little bit.
You can tell me what she's going to do.
Okay, well, I guess what we're going to do is
Ola and Paul talk. I'm going to fix this because I can't have you down here talking to her at the same time, Ola. So
great. Okay, maybe let's just wind back the clock slightly and just cover what FunkJam is. Are you able to give me screen share stuff,
Yep.
Ula? Let me just see if I can find the page.
Oh, Inesa dropped a comment on the Groovy Analytics.
Did he? Oh, okay,
Yep.
cool.
Can we use it?
See. Is it there? I can see it. He said, "Ahoy from Kigali."
I'm back. I'm back.
Okay.
That was quick. That was quick.
That was quick. So this is what happens when you do it all. There will be some little princess breaks. Okay, so even if you got that up, we can save that for our tiny little break today as a plug, Paul. So let's just jump into it.
Yep. All right, let's do it then. Yeah, sorry. So yeah, line, what did I say? 41?
41.
Yeah, just comment out the 3 scene component.
And then that will remove the globe.
Yeah, so now we can work a little bit faster. I think it should refresh a little bit faster because well, let's see, it should.
My computer is not happy right now.
Luckily, a lot of what we're going to be doing, we're going to probably just view the endpoint in JSON in the browser. So we won't have to worry about most of this. But good Lord, that is slow.
I think maybe I'll just open a new one and then close this one because I think it's already like hogging a lot of resources. There we go. That's a little bit better.
All right, let's get to it then. Let's get to it.
So I have a question. Is everything you're going to make this year going to have that globe in there?
Well, yeah, because it took me a long time to make it. So now I'm just trying to crowbar it into everything. Well, to be fair, it's only in this and in 500 bottles. It's not in anything else.
I like the globe.
It's in your Smashing Magazine article.
Yeah, that's cool.
Oh yeah, but that's just to explain how it was made. Like,
we love the article.
We love it. We love the globe. We love the globe. And Ines, I should update my OS. The problem though is that I don't know if my computer will actually handle it. My computer is from 2017, I think I figured out. So, anywho, I've been cleaning it up for the upgrades. I will upgrade when we have a break before season 2 of the regular Gatsby deep dives. I will do it so I have 2 weeks in case anything goes wrong. Okay, sorry, I'm just talking. I'm chatty today. Let's get back to coding.
Yes. So we're going to make a function. So take me to source API, and we're going to make a new file called get-all-comments.ts.
You did not watch my webinar on Tuesday.
Why?
Keep on going.
Why?
No, don't get distracted, Paul.
Keep on going.
Don't
listen to me.
All right, so let's start, and we'll write the function in JavaScript first, and then we'll add the type. So do your usual export default async function handler with a request and response, or REQ and RES.
Okay. Export. I never remember this.
Export default async function handler.
I forgot a constant there, didn't I?
No, that's fine. Export default async function. Yeah,
and
that's
then
fine.
what's our handler? Handler.
Oh yeah.
Hand.
Well spotted.
Good one, Ola. He has been practicing like typing things out, so he has like automated these skills. I don't.
Good. And then let's just do a res.status 200.json message. A-OK. Do you need me to?
I mean, do I need me?
I missed that. Something cut out. What did you say?
Nothing.
Nothing. I didn't hear anything. It was silent.
Oh.
Do you have these?
What's that?
Licorice.
No. Why would I have licorice?
No, in the UK, I mean, do you have
Oh,
them?
right. Yeah, we have licorice. Yeah.
Great.
Okay.
All right. So that works. Okay.
It's A-okay.
Brilliant. All right. So let's now convert it to TypeScript. Oh yeah, maybe you know why this will work. I tried it just out of curiosity, but we've been doing like const require for all of our things in functions. Import statements work as well.
Yeah, I just haven't tried it out. I was gonna try it out.
Yeah, I mean, I just did it almost by sort of default when I was writing this, and I was like, oh, they actually work. So we can import the types for the REQ and the RES objects from Gatsby. So it would be import, and it will be the curly brackets because they're two named imports that we need from Gatsby. And the first one is Gatsby function request, and then Gatsby function response.
Because in regular JavaScript, we don't know how these look like the VS Code or anyone else reading this code programmatically don't really know what's on rec and what's on res. We just know it from reading the documentation. But with types, we can actually say that this request conforms to a certain standard and will have certain values and or certain keys attached to its object, right?
Yeah, so you can now type that REQ object by doing REQ dot colon, and then it'll be Gatsby function request, and then res. Yep, you got it. And you should, if you command click on Gatsby function request, you should get the type declaration file.
Oh, so it has a query, it's got params, it's got bod. So we've used these. We've used the query, we've used the params, we've used the body in the summer functions. Did we use cookies?
I haven't. But this is why I think TypeScript is, I know it can be a bit of a pain in the ass when it's erroring, but if you're using a framework or a node module or something, and you're trying to understand how it works, TypeScript's type declaration file is almost as good as the documentation because
here we now know that the response has a send, it has a JSON, and this because if we look at the request, let's see, if we look at the request, where's our request? There's our request. We can see that the query is a string, or it's a record with a string. Body can be anything.
Yeah.
And then if we go to record, we'll see what that.
Yeah, so this is where things start getting a bit gnarly.
Yeah, because it's a P and key and
yeah. So
anyway, but at least
if you want to look it up, the thing to investigate for that would be generics. So if you see it in the less than and more than symbols, they are generic types. But I don't know enough, and that's probably enough for an entire different stream.
Entirely different things. But at least, and what's nice about it now, I guess, if I write res dot, it can actually tell me what's on it. Well, these are not the things that are on it, but here, these are the ones coming from.
Yeah, you should see where the type comes from. But I mean, the command click is the easiest way to get into that type declaration file.
Okay. And
right.
So what should this function do? It should get all comments, I guess.
Yeah. So we're gonna also need to import fauna DB from fauna DB, and it's all lowercase. You shouldn't need to install it because I think it's already installed from the other thing. And in the function body, we'll need a try catch. And in the, let's handle the error first. So just send back status 500 with a message with the error.message.
With the JSON. it's so funny how like one have a different coding styles, because I always do the happy part first. And then I focus on the error part.
Do you know why I do errors first?
I don't know, to see
because-
the errors.
Well, it's not so much that, but it's like I've often wasted time trying to work out why something doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
And it will be erroring. I just haven't handled the error. So if I handle the error first, then the
Yeah,
next time I do
that's
something,
true,
I'm like,
that's
oh, it's
true.
errored. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
no,
that's
I
all it is.
usually often have like, I'll add the console log, but I won't like decide on how the error messaging should look like. Or,
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, like we've done this so much, and I was just trying to keep it consistent with everything else we've done on stream.
No,
It's
I
kind of
love it.
no-brainer,
I'm
like-
just making conversations that folks have different styles of like what order they do things in, and you have to find what like works for you.
Sure.
But it's good to be a little bit conscious of it, so that you can actually understand like, is your approach, could it be better or not? Like, I should also probably always do the error. Maybe I do. I just do it without thinking. Anyway, let's keep on going.
All right. So above the try catch, we need const q, which is going to equal fauna.query.
So this is giving us a way to use their query language.
Mm-hmm. And then const client, which equals new faunadb.client, which is a function. And that will accept a key value pair of secret, and the value is process.env.fauna key in capital letters. FAUNA_key. Yep.
Somehow my pretty air is not picking up today.
Do you have it switched on for TypeScript?
Oh, maybe I haven't. How do I do that then?
It's interesting that you're actually getting errors as well on what is the error? What's the squiggly line under Gatsby function request on the REQ there?
The squiggly line got removed.
Because what?
There is no squiggly line here now.
Isn't there?
No, it
was.
was.
Is it just an underline? Oh, maybe it's just.
Yeah, it's an underline.
See. Oh, okay,
but,
fine.
But how do I turn it on? How do I turn on prettier for TypeScript?
Well, I would have thought it's just in the settings for the types. Like, you just check JS and TS. So I think it's under preferences in VS Code. Preferences.
I cannot code without prettier. That would be insane.
Is there anything under there which says file types that it will check? I'm just having a look at mine. If anyone watching knows why this is happening, because I don't know. Where's my prettier config? Okay, so my config. Yeah, I haven't got anything that's saying check TypeScript files. Looked pretty default settings for me. You sure it isn't just slow?
No,
and it was
no,
working?
when I save, like nothing happens. Anyone know? Anyone in the should I just like restart my? Because this is gonna be a slow process if I have to make sure, but everything is properly indented. We can let's keep on going, and I'll see if somebody wants to Google it, please do.
Well, we can run prettier afterwards.
But that isn't the same. I need to save and like see it gets cleaned up so that my mind doesn't go crazy.
Fair enough. All right. Well, the next bit's going to get wild then. All right. So inside the try catch, before the response, we're going to need to do const response equals.
What are we doing here? You can tell us what we're doing, and I'll just type what you've done.
This is going to be the actual query that we construct to hit the collection in Fauna that I've already set up. So I've set up a database for Groovy Analytics. There's a collection point called all comments. If Benedicte's kind of copying what I've already sent her, I've used template literal to concatenate the node env, and that node env will either equal development or production. So when we run this query, we'll actually be hitting all comments development for now, And obviously when you deploy, it will hit the production one. And it's the same when you add a comment. So anything that we're doing on stream tonight just goes into the development database. I found that's a little bit easier because I don't want to pollute the actual real data.
Yeah.
But obviously you need to get something working. So having just that suffix of either production or development means I can use the node env.
Why are you laughing, Ula? I can't see what's happening.
I'm not laughing. I was on mute.
You were not on mute. You were not on mute. Okay, so we got then. So what we're getting here is a response. So this is typically like we've been talking about in Summer Functions. It's a way to send off a request to Fauna, and instead of just using regular post and get and other HTTP requests, we're using their software developer kit SDK to then create a query using kind of their type of language, which is like folk or
FQL,
like that.
FQL,
yeah. So it's their own query language. So that is interesting. But under the hood, this will send off probably a GET request to Fauna.
Yeah.
Or a GraphQL request. I don't know what's in the back end of that. So what do we do with the result then?
Just quickly, so at the moment you've got it typed as response. We haven't written that type yet, so just remove that for the time being. Otherwise, we'll get an error.
Can I not just copy paste your thing?
I mean, you could. Yeah, I want to show the response type first, and then I can show you how we derive the types from it.
And we're not typing it, but it's a regular JavaScript response.
Yeah, and just log that out so we can have a look at what the response is. I'll make sure it works first. I think this log will appear in your terminal because it's going to be server side. So you'll have to give the page a refresh so that it hits it and then see what comes back.
So it's a data, it's an object with a data key that is an array, and then the array consists of something that's part. So this is that they're part of a collection that's called comments development, and then
there's a name key, a message key, a date key, and an is approved key.
Yeah, so, but we don't see the keys, but that's just the way they. Okay.
Yeah, so this is one tricky thing about dealing with Fauna is that you then have to do like an array destructure to format it back into something that we would use in the front end. So this is how I would do it. There's probably other ways to do it, but if you just above that console log, make a new const, and let's call it result, and this is going to be response.data .map.
They're going to map over it and then transform it in some way.
Yeah. So inside the map, the first param will actually be an array. So you can use square brackets.
Okay.
And we're not interested in the ref. I'll come on to this in a minute. So just put an underscore.
Oh, but I do need to do response data because we're going to go into data.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, because what you're saying, of course, yeah, I didn't catch that because this is not an object. This is an array. So we have an array of arrays instead of this one kind of comment being an object that's also an array. So we're destructuring that array.
Yeah, normally what you would expect to see is an array of objects, whereas Fauna kicks back an array of arrays. So you can destructure to give keys using the array destructuring syntax from an array map. So here we're going to define, and I know what these are. So like the ref, we're just going to ignore. The first thing that you see there where it says my name, that's the user. The next thing is the comment. The next thing is the date. And then the last thing is a special key that I've added, which is called approved. And this is just a way that we can then filter out comments that come through on the front end. So by array destructuring this, you should then be able to return like objects with key value pairs. So if you do that now and give me a response, a return object.
Why do you do underscore for the one that?
So that's the ref.
That's this ref up here that you're not interested in.
Well, I will be interested in it, but when I was doing this earlier, it's going to be more complicated to type it later. So we will need to, in the return statement, still put a ref in, so above user in the return. And you can just return it as an empty string.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, you can go for the shorthand thing as you've done. I don't like to do that, and I can give you reasons why. Do you want to just do user, comment, date, approved? One example might be the longhand version, for instance, on the date. Oh, you need date underneath comment. You might want to format the date on the server, and so by doing like a key value pair here rather than just the shorthand version, you could.
I haven't destructured data. That's why it doesn't want to. So this would have been wrong because so what would happen here is that then approved would have gotten the date because I haven't.
Key, so it should be underscore user comment date approved. Yeah. And it's date, not data. I
actually often end up doing the long form where I do. Yeah, this is one of my most common bugs in my own code.
Yeah.
Instead I write data instead of date and vice versa. If you
put a login for the result now, so where we have the console log for response, change that to okay. And we can see the difference now.
I love how that you don't see my code until after a while. You're like, okay.
It's such a delay.
It's like, oh, you did it that way. Okay. I get to do whatever I want. Whatever I want. Okay. So now we have the ref that is empty. From here, we got the user comment date approved. And if we go above, we have the array of arrays. Now we have an array of objects.
Yeah.
Yay.
And now that we've got key value pairs, we can do something else. So at the end of result, I want to filter out the comments that aren't approved. So it'll be filter, open, close, parentheses, comment, and then return comment.approved. So if the comment's not approved, then don't send it back to the client.
Nope.
And then you can, in your res.status 200,
I'm trying to get parentheses around this without prettier. This is not going good. Where is my prettier? Okay, I'm just going there. Okay.
Yep. And then after message AOK, let's put a new key value pair in the response and call it comments, and that will be the result. Other way around. So comments is the key.
Yeah. And then comments.
Result will be the value. Now we should see that pop out in the browser.
We do.
Oh, you still don't have that thing installed so it formats it, do you? Do you have that Chrome extension?
No.
No.
Because I usually use paw, but I'm not going to use that now because then I have to zoom in my whole screen. Right. But no, so this looks good. I think it's worth calling out that even if you somehow could have called this Fauna endpoint from your site or your front end, you don't want to do that because of things like, you're transforming it or filtering it, because if these approved comments had come to the front end, even if you then did a filter and didn't display them, they would still be there somewhere, in the response. Like if somebody then goes inside and looks at whatever request, request has been sent, they can go and look at the response on that request. So even if you do kind of like hide it in your front end code, it's never really hidden when you do it in your front end code. But when you do it in your back end code, your serverless function, then you can control what is sent and how it looks, what is sent to the front end much more. You have that control that you wouldn't have if you did these things in your front end.
And I think certainly for stuff like this, I'd like to just get that object or that response in the right format, so that literally when I request it from a component, it's just an array and I map over it. I'm not trying to do any gross transformations. Like do that on the server, because that's going to be more powerful than your user's computer or phone or whatever.
And you can also do changes to your database. So if you wanted then to call the comment for something else, you could then go in here and change it in your serverless function and just swap it out over here without having to change your front end code. Or if you split this into like two different tables or whatever, it's not called tables, collections, then you could like join and you could still give the front end the same kind of data structure even if you change up the structure in the backend.
Right. Should we do some TypeScript then?
Yeah, because it's yelling at me.
Yeah,
it says
so
that response does not have data. It does not exist on type object. So one way to fix it is just to do any, right? Or not.
No, that is, well, yeah, I mean, that is, well, I wouldn't say fix it. That's one way to stop it from screaming at you, but you've just created yourself a bigger problem. We're going to type it properly. So
yes,
put that back to as it was. So it will be response : and then response with a capital R. So that is going to be our type interface that we're going to create.
We got a message. We got a message.
Firefox response. Oh, does it? So you get the JSON format. And okay.
Yeah, and I thought Chrome did that for a while, or at least all browsers I've had does that for you automatically. So I just never got around to the fact that Chrome somehow doesn't. But yeah, good one. I think Safari does as well. Okay, so
all right, so let's type the response. So where you've got const response on line 9, that would be const response : and then I've called it response with a capital R. Sometimes you see them prefixed with like an I, like I response, because
shouldn't it be a fauna response, or
it can be response? Yeah, it can be
comment response.
Yeah, you could do
comments
that.
Response.
And then we need to define that as an interface. So it would be interface.
Oh, I need to sneak peek a little bit.
So not a constant, it's an interface.
Oh, it's an interface. So you say interface.
And then it will be comments response. That's the name of it, which is going to be an object. And inside the object, it has the key of data, because that's what it's complaining about.
We have here. Yeah, data.
And data is going to be typed to a new type that we're going to create, which I'm going to call data. And then above the interface, and we're going to make a new type.
So I want to call this then comment list.
Yep.
Just to be annoying. And that is what we call a type.
Yeah. I mean, this could be an interface as well. And this is just going to be equals, and it will be a string with square brackets, which basically means it's an array of strings, which is why I forced you to ignore the ref and turn the ref into a string, because now basically the whole thing is just an array of strings.
Yeah.
So there's a slight difference between the syntax between type and interface. When you define a type, you use equals. When you use interface, it's the square, the curly brackets, like an object. The difference between the two used to be, and this is going back 2 years now, TypeScript types couldn't be extended, but TypeScript interfaces could. Now, interfaces and types do the same thing. However, I see it just in my head that a type is a single type and an interface would be like a collection of types. So that's just how I do it, but you don't have to do it that way. So that looks like it's not erroring. That all looks good.
Yes.
And you should see now, if you hover over response.data.
Yeah, it's a comment response data. It's a comment list.
So now if you were, and this, we would, if we were doing this properly, actually abstract those types into a common types folder, because we're going to reuse them in the front end. But for the same reasons, it's helpful because you don't need to console log out a response to know what shape it's going to be. You can just look at the type. But
I mean, console logging is so much fun.
I don't know. I mean, look, horses for courses. I come from an ActionScript background, and typing front end code is old. It's old school. And Gabby said it as well about, she's a back end developer, wrote in Java. Typing stuff is just, it's what you do. But JavaScript is
typeless.
Yeah.
Or an untyped language. No, I mean, coming from, so at school, or not school, but at university, everything we did was typed because we were doing Java or C or C#, and then also doing native iOS apps. I mean, it's all typed, right? But JavaScript isn't. So makes it easy to just do whatever. But it also makes it a little less unstructured sometimes.
Someone much better than me defined it like this: time you spend typing code is time you'll save times 5 fixing bugs. And I cannot stress how accurate that is. The amount of times I have worked on big projects that are written in JavaScript and you just fucking waste time, like days, trying to track down something. In a TypeScript project, it's like, what's the type? Oh, that's exactly what it is. That's the problem. Do you know what I mean? It's like that instant, but obviously it takes a little bit longer to write the code, and you do have to be a little bit stricter with making sure the types are correct, and you obviously have a little bit of a learning curve to understand it. But it is just like putting anything into production that isn't TypeScript, in my opinion, I'm just like, I don't want to work on it. I don't want to work on it.
Hot take.
It's just my opinion, but you know, it just speeds bug fixing up. And if you're working on a big project, you know, it saves the day. I think, you know, with TypeScript and like tests, Jest and or testing library, you could literally tear down your entire application and rebuild it, and it would, and you'd know exactly where to go because you've got tests and you've got types. And if you've got those two, you can rebuild anything. Without them, it's like start again. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Burn it down, start again. Anyway, should we do something a bit more cool and get this data into the front end then? Should we put it on a page?
Yes, please.
Do you want to do a break first, or should we just crack on?
Ola, should we do the break? We can't hear you.
Can't hear me, can you?
Now we can hear you.
Yeah, let's do a break. Let's do a break. Don't mind if you do. Okay. Let's see if I managed. Yes, I did. Jesus. Okay. Share. That's right. Wow, you're gonna see something nobody ever saw before because I just put this up. I put it up. It's totally new. I changed stuff.
You have to put it on the screen.
Oh, sorry. I thought I did there at the screen. I just put this up right here with my brand new site. I just wrote it in from my notes. Here are my notes. I'm just writing. I wasn't listening to Paul and the Queen Benedict at all.
Don't worry, no one listens to me.
I was typing it up. I'm sorry about that. So this is all totally new. And you can see I'm missing some text here between the titles, you know, but the titles are brand new and they go like this. Not sure how to dive deeper into serverless Gatsby functions. Imagine knowing exactly how to build a serverless Gatsby function timeship. Our free serverless Gatsby function webinar will make your practice paradoxically playfuler. It's led by the Queen herself, Benedict Ray, and she shows you how to build a timeship. And then while you're, working on your own Gatsby function, you're gonna get this story here, Ruby's timeship. It's 9 emails now. It might be 11, but not much more than that. It's gonna be daily emails they're gonna send out by Queen Ray. She's sending them out. Whoops, that wasn't me, sorry. And then she's sending them out to you to keep you inspired, you know, and then learn how Rec is really a bat, Res is really a cat, you know, important stuff like that. Yes, to keep you more playful. Yeah.
Like it. What was that? Is that the break over?
No, Paul that was my plug. You guys
Paul and I don't get a plug?
Yeah, you blew the whistle prematurely.
No, that was you.
It's you now. Okay, Paul first.
Who's next?
Okay. Are you ready, Paul?
Yeah, can I go? You'll have to tell me if I'm sharing, because as you know, I'm super pro on small screen.
You're not sharing. I
You
can't
have to
share
press the share button.
And then I must push it.
I've pressed share. Oh, I didn't click double share. Here we go.
Okay, you're on. You're on.
Can you see? So here you go. Funk Jam. So this is a new little competition that Gatsby announced this week, and it's all about Gatsby functions. Yes. And there are some super duper prizes. Check that out.
I mean, if anybody wins that Mac Mini, ship it over here so I can update and get new emojis.
Yes.
I've heard that it comes pre-installed with emojis, Benedict.
Yes.
You'll be happy to hear.
I want
Yeah.
all the emojis.
So, how to participate? There's an example repo which I have forked, and
Ooh.
Kyle Gill has forks, but I believe this is the official way to do it. So, fork this repo, and as you know, you get started and you write a function, and then at some point before the 31st of August, you can submit your site. Now, obviously, I don't do things by halves, and I've gone all out, and Groovy Analytics is going to be all of those things.
Let's say that nobody will participate.
I could have just done it a function, but I've gone all out. And I've also got a blog post here, which I'm updating with my progress as I go. There's a link to the site, what I'm doing, a tweet about the fact that I may or may not have been the person that came up with this, but we just don't know. We just don't know. And then a little bit of an explanation about how it's going to work, and a little bit of a teaser about how it's eventually going to look, and how meta is this. I've linked to this stream that we're on right now. So there you go. So that's Gatsby Function by Gatsby.
Everyone from the Summer Functions should participate. I would be super cool if we could win all the 3 prizes. I don't think I'll have a proper time, but I would love to set up we could have a little call on some video conferencing system where we toss some ideas around if anybody wants to get on with the Funk Jam. Yeah.
I don't know how clear that URL is, and I don't know how we can do this because we can't put links in.
We'll put it in the description in a couple of minutes.
Okay, fine. But for anyone interested, it's gatsbyjs.com/funk, FUNC-jam-21, Funk Jam 21. So there you go. So get involved.
And Nessa, you should make it an emoji time ship. That would be super cool.
Yes, but this is really weird, Paul, because I went to the Gatsby GitHub and it's not there. It's on the Gatsby Inc. GitHub.
Oh, right.
Who the hell is Gatsby Inc? Is that like a new competitor or something?
Well, Gatsby Inc. is the company, isn't it? Gatsby
No,
Inc.
it's not. No, absolutely not. Gatsby JS is the company.
Gatsby JS is the open source, and then Gatsby Inc. is the company.
Oh, really?
Yes.
What?
So I am going to plug this beautiful. Yes. Do you want to blow your whistle for me too?
Yes.
I didn't get a whistle. Why do you get a whistle?
Well, that's what I'm saying. After you, before
sort out your whistles, Ula.
You just didn't listen.
While I redo my Queen page, you can just go ahead on over to crowdcast.io/Ray, and there you see all the upcoming webinars. On Monday, we're going to do architecting or cleaning up your serverless functions with Swizzek. We're going to see when are the functions doing too much and what can we do to split them up into smaller functions. And then everyone who's participated in the Summer Functions will have a webinar on Tuesday where we are getting paid through Stripe. I'm going to do pay what you want style pricing, which is only possible to do with Stripe if you have your own function. And then you could also sign up or get your friends to sign up from the ID to deployed Gatsby Serverless Function. I plugged it last time as well. We've pushed it till the end of September for those who would like to join that. Whoop, whoop. Yes, so Swizzek is the author behind the book Ola is holding up. That's the plugs. Let's go fetch those.
No. We're not them. Look who's here.
Who?
Isn't that Armu?
Yes.
Yes.
Hello. I tried to comment on YouTube, but it suddenly didn't work. You know how
I think he was talking about your site, actually. Because that's when the comment came in.
Oh, he's on my site. But
yeah, because you did plug something similar last week, but you've updated the text for this week.
You gotta go there again, Armu, because I just updated it I just went to Gatsby Cloud 5 minutes ago. It's completely new.
Let's code. Blow the whistle. Okay.
Crikey. Right. So we're gonna need a new page, Benedicta.
Paul,
so...
you're secretly very happy you're doing this with the crazy Norwegians.
Of course I am. This is the highlight of my week.
It's not secret.
The only people I speak to all week.
Okay, let's do another page.
Yep. So we need to import React from React. We'll write it in JavaScript first, and then we'll convert it to TypeScript.
I need to learn how to type faster since you type everything out. Okay.
Yep. And it'd be const comment page, arrow function. And yeah, we'll just do it like that for now. Yep. And then export default comment page.
I cannot. It's too late. I can't spell. Okay.
Yep, that's good. And do you want to just do a return div just for the moment and then just make sure the page works, or do we just want to trust that it will work and we'll crack on?
We never trust it. Okay, so this should then come under comments.
Should do, yeah.
This is one of those things I always do, check, because sometimes I mess up that like really simple start, and then when I add more code, I never go back to think that there's something wrong with just that setup code.
Yeah.
And then you're like, well, it's not that. And
yeah.
then in the end,
I'm like,
you're
oh,
like,
I forgot to return.
Oh, I forgot. And there's like, so it's always nice to just get that little something up there, just like we did with the function, just a little like hello, so we know that all of the engine is working. So
right.
High level, what are we doing on this page?
So high level on this page is going to be a use effect that polls a function that hits the Gatsby function that we just wrote and returns the approved comments to the page.
The cat that is not supposed to be inside just came. She's now running out. Okay. It's my mom's cat.
Okay, so what we've got here...
Today is just full of surprises.
We're going to create a state to hold this in. Yeah, so this will be the return from the API, then we'll pump it into state. Good. And then we want a... Well, let's write the function first that will get all the comments, which is going to be const get all comments.
Everyone, you cannot talk while I code in the same room. By everyone, I don't mean you, Paul.
Sorry, that was at me as well. You can't talk.
You can talk. Okay, so
right,
let's console log.
Yep, and if should we put a use effect in first just to make sure that this actually does call this function?
We could do that.
So underneath that, we'll do a use effect, which will have an empty dependency array because it's just going to run once when the component mounts. Yep, so empty array, and then we'll just call that get all comments function. Good. We should get a console log if you refresh the page.
Get all comments. Whoop, whoop.
Yep. Okay, good. And now we can, inside that get all comments, right, try catch.
Try catch.
And here's where we'll actually hit the Gatsby function endpoint. So we're going to need Axios in there somewhere.
We're going to await Axios, and it's going to auto import.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
And this will be Axios /API /get -all comments, or get -all comments. And you can either log out response.data.comments or set comments with response.data.comments. You're doing that. Well, that's fine.
Yeah, and comments, because this is then we in our API, we are sending a JSON, what's in here will be what ends up on the data key on that response object, and then we want comments. So response data comments.
Then I guess in that div, rather than hello, if we put a pre-tag and then do a JSON stringify.
Yeah, I always do this as well. So then we can just log out our comments.
Yeah, so it'd be JSON stringify comments, null for the replacer and 2 for the tabs will probably be fine. I always do null 2. And then that should work.
Oh, warn error message. Okay. There we go.
Sweet.
Look at that.
So,
whoop, 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 whoop.
I'm not sure how we're going to do. Oh, okay. I'll tell you what we'll do. In the function, let's switch it temporarily and just hard code it so it points to production, because I want to show Inez's comment because I've approved it. So you can just remove that node end bit from the end of the.
And then we do production.
Yeah. And that will hit the fauna production endpoint.
Look at that. See, I gave you a little party popper.
Yeah, I know. Right. So
John has given a good
John did one
here.
as well, yeah.
How long is it? Is it all of the book?
It's quite a long one. Also, just for completeness, Benedict, so if you just hop back to the function and just comment out the filter where we're filtering out the approved ones.
Yeah.
On line 27. And then give that page a refresh. Yeah, so if you have a look at
test from prod, test with art. Yeah.
Yeah, so you can see the approved key. So what happens when you submit from the form on the front end, when I post that data, every comment automatically gets sent with approved false. What you would probably want to have in a real product is some sort of admin UI where people can approve the comments. I'm just going to be reviewing them in Fauna, and I just manually amend the record to true for the ones that I want to display. I've got a couple of weeks to pull this off. Like I'm going to use the tools I've got, you know. So
let's just duct tape stuff together. It's fine.
Exactly, it's fine. I mean, I'm only probably going to display like 2 or 3 comments anyway.
Yeah.
If I even get any, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You
already have 3 comments. Look at
that. Wow, 3 comments.
Woo! So we do have a question. So Inessa says, what goes in the array in the use effect?
So the dependency array. Okay, so an empty dependency array is the same as React's old method, which was component did mount. So with an
Not everybody did old React, Paul.
I know, I'm just going to explain it now.
Without referencing old React.
I'm going to explain it. An empty dependency array means that the use effect will run once when the component mounts. What you might want sometimes in a use effect, and the reason it's called use effect is because it has a side effect, and the side effect might be that another state value might change. And so you can put in the dependency array another state value, and if that state value changes, then that use effect will be recalled, and that way you can get, you know, parts of your code updating when other parts of your code change, if that makes sense. But an empty dependency array is run once, component did mount.
So if we do the use effect, that had a dependency array with comments in it, whatever's inside here will run every time the comments change. And this will only happen, whatever's in here will only happen if this comments value change. So if we had more things in here, if we had like a const user, for instance, set user, then we would make sure that whatever was in this effect only happened if the comments changed, not if the user changed. So that's because otherwise, when you React component, whenever anything changes, it re-renders, and all of the code that's in here runs But if you have it inside, but if you have these dependencies array, whatever is inside of the use effect will only happen when that thing changes that's in the array.
Yeah.
If that made sense.
Yeah.
And in the beginning, when you start using, when your comments aren't that like complex, oftentimes you don't really need to use these. Well, use effect you often have to use, but like this use memo also has a dependency array, and not use ref, but use
Callback.
Use callback also has a dependency array. So you might need that like when things get more complex, because you don't want everything to run every time something changes or some state changes. If that, I don't know.
Correct.
If that need to practice that, but I hope that helped. So let's.
There's one more thing we need to do then, which was the purpose of the entire stream, which was poll the function.
So, I mean, now I have to like refresh every time you want to, see if there's anything that has changed, right? But if I keep I messed something up now probably because I added because my prettier isn't working. It's just slow. Yeah. So now we have those. But if I just hang out on this page, which I mean, most of us we'll just hang out on this page and we're like, where's the new comments? Where's the new comments? I can't see any new. Oh, I have to refresh to get new comments. We don't want that. We want the comments that just like, pop up on the screen while we're sitting here doing nothing but stare at Paul's groovy analytics comments.
Absolutely. So let's do that. Let's write a poll. We're going to write a poll interval or a poll using set interval.
Okay.
So underneath where we've got get all comments, and because this use effect runs once, we're going to create a new interval object. So it'll be const, and I've called it poll interval equals set interval, which will be an arrow function. Yep. And so that's the delay. How often do we want to call it? For now, let's do it every second. So it'll be 1,000. It's in milliseconds.
Then inside of our, so what happens here inside this arrow function will then happen every second.
Yeah. And inside that, we want to call the same function, which is get all comments. So
why do we call it once above and then we do the interval?
Because the interval probably won't run every second. We probably want it to run every minute. And if we don't call it outside of the interval,
you just failed the whiteboard interview.
Well, no, I'm explaining it. Let me finish. I haven't finished. So if we change the interval to run every minute, what would happen is you'd land on the page and the interval wouldn't kick in for a minute. So you'd just be left with the loading state. So by calling the function first on line 19, it calls it immediately. And then a minute later, the interval will start to repeatedly call it. And then it looks like you're about to write the return, which is the unmount.
So set interval doesn't do anything on like time 0. It waits until that full minute and then it runs every minute. It doesn't do anything at the like start of our time.
Correct. Right, and now you're writing the unmount, which is the return function when the component unmounts. And it's important here that we clear the interval, because if you changed root, if you changed page, that interval is still going to exist in JavaScript land, but get all comments, the function won't, because you're not on the page. So you'll get a weird React error saying that it's trying to call something that doesn't exist. So return arrow function clear interval by the name, the constants, will mean that it clears that, and then it won't be continuously calling it. So you do have render flashes on in your dev mode, don't you? So we should see that component updates every second. So there you go.
See that the component updates, and if we go in the network tab, we'll see that it I had it filtered on auth 0. You see that it calls the get all comments. But we also get it 3 or 4 not modified. So we kind of know by that status that the that it's not modified. But since this is such a small with just like text and comments, you can just let the component re-render every time it comes in. But for another project I had where it would then kick off a whole D3 visualization, I actually check if the status that's coming back is 304. And if it is, I don't like update the state because then I don't have to trigger that re-render of the visualization.
We want to put this to the test and leave that running like every second, and I will post a comment now and we can see if it actually appears without you having to do anything.
Everybody go to Paul's he linked it in his tweet and we can see what kind of comments we get from the production side.
All right. Tweet. Is that some kind of modern new thing? Paul.
It's what?
It's
Twitter.
very modern. Twitter, it's very modern. Funnily though, initially Twitter was text messages. Ahoy!
So there's my message. Ahoy shipmate. So there you go. Without refreshing the page, it's appeared.
Oh, well, everybody else's won't appear because you have improved. I'm going to remove approved. Yeah. I'm going to remove it. So now there's no filter. You can write anything.
Yeah, I've just seen Inez has done check 1, 2.
Anybody
else?
It
might be an edgy move to not have approval because I think Scott and Rich are lurking in the chat, and let's face it, they're a pair of tinkers, aren't they? And they're going to probably write something rude.
Scott, Rich, that's a challenge. Are you actually listening, or are you just trolling the chat? Well,
do I have to log in with Twitter?
Yes. So Rich actually asked, "Does your function work?" When he came back, like 10 minutes ago, 50. Yeah, it's working, Rich. It's working.
Wow. Sister Party Princess.
Yeah, she's very impressed. Nobody else is writing. What's up with that?
I'm writing. Oh,
so that's how you can do polling. You say it so much better than polling.
Yeah, that's right. No, you said it right.
Polling.
Okay, I'm commenting.
I have problems with both. Oh, look at that.
Something's popped up.
Hola.
What we might want to actually do is in the function is to write a sort and return the latest date one first. Should we do that?
I mean, we're at the hour.
Fine, let's not do that.
I'd rather not.
Fair enough.
But there you go. This is how. Actually, we should put fauna in the title as well, because this was a good one on how to like get everything from fauna.
Yeah.
And also, I think because I looked into fauna and I find like that the fauna language a little. I mean, you just have to get used to it. I'm not used to it. But I am guessing you could do some, like if you index in some way on this approved or not, you could actually in the query filter out the ones that are not approved. And I think also you could get it to sort by date, like in your index, in a different index.
That's a great point. Could have done it all in FQL rather than JavaScript. Good point.
Yeah. But I mean, we're used to JavaScript, right? And Petter is saying that he loves SQL. We were fighting over it a lot. Yeah. So it's a long time since I've been writing. No, not really, because at my contract gig, we have an SQLite database, and it's the same syntax. So whenever I have to check the database myself, like I have to write some SQL queries. You know, keep that knowledge alive. I don't know how similar the fauna is to SQL, but they call it FQL for fauna QL. So now Inessa is asking, is there a rate limit on fauna? Like, when is it going to error out?
Yeah, there is, but it's incredibly generous. I've used fauna for a couple of things now, and even their free tier is really good, actually. I'd be surprised anything I do would cap out on the free tier. If you were putting this, if this was an enterprise level thing, you'd have to go for the paid one. But you know, like a lot of these services, they're scalable. Like everything is. So, and I think Fauna even, you know, if you were getting close to that limit, you just up it and pay a bit more, and it's taken care of. I don't know an awful lot about backends and databases, and I can't. I've got to be honest, I don't want to. But Fauna's easy. Like it's just, I love it because you just click a few buttons and it works, and I'm like, good. I can get on with my day.
A front ender like Paul can create, you know, a lot more complex Gatsby sites now that he has learned functions.
What was that? Like a front ender like Paul? I'm the yardstick.
You are.
If this idiot he can do it, then anyone else can.
It was more like somebody who is an experienced front ender can now you can transfer that JavaScript knowledge and write functions and connect and like have a backend without having to learn like a whole new language or like spend a lot of time setting up something, because I've written Express backends and I've done even Netlify function, and I think Ola once tried the AWS serverless functions, and there is just so much that you need to like set up and kind of get working before you even can like test your function. But now with like, admit it, Paul, it's more fun now that you can get the functions straight there in the Gatsby folder. In the Gatsby
100%.
project. Yeah,
it opens up so many options because, you know, I guess that is Jamstack. It's kind of full stack, but you don't have to worry about managing a server. It's just there. So yeah, I agree. As a pure front ender, this means you don't have to get involved with some of the stuff you might not want to do, scaling servers and all that stuff, because I don't. I just want to use it and come up with an idea and you know, bring it to the front end, and Gatsby Functions lets you do that.
But and as I was saying, Paul has been eyeing Next.js now.
Yes. Well, I'm not going to talk about it because you said you'd behead me if I carried on.
That's true.
That is true. I did say that. I might
that
have
was
had
one of it was one of the funniest responses to a tweet I think I've ever had. It was so good. Well
but
done.
we got people watching you, Paul. All over the world. We got eyes on you. Well, be careful. Yeah.
I got spies all around the world, so you will not get away with it.
You're not the first person to have called me up on it anyway. So anyway, let's move on. Back to Gatsby.
What's coming next week? What's next week?
So next week's challenge, everyone, is getting paid.
Yes, I love that.
So Paul will have to come up with a way to monetize something on one of his sites. And then on Tuesday, I will be demonstrating how to create a pay what you want checkout with Stripe. So I think that will be really cool because that's one of the missing pieces in kind of Stripe's Stripe does a lot for us, but pay what you want pricing is not what's it called? I can't even talk anymore.
Pay what you want is great. We love it.
Pay what you want is great, but pay what you want is not something you get for free with their checkout experience. You do need a serverless function to do, or a function or a backend somewhere to do that pay what you want part. Another thing one could do if in as a solution or as an answer to the challenge is that you could use Stripe's checkout, which then takes care of almost everything up to payment. But then when a payment is captured, it will you could set it up to call a webhook, which is just another name for an serverless function or an API endpoint that is supposed to be called by another service or another machine and not by like your front end code. So you set up serverless function that then is called when the payment is captured, and then you do something when you know that you have that payment. because in your front end codes, you know, you can get Stripe will say, yes, this went okay, like you got paid, but anybody could spoof that. So if you're actually going to send them a PDF or a bottle or anything like that, that needs to happen in your serverless function with the data coming from Stripe that you need to validate that is actually coming from Stripe. So there are loads of things people can do. It will be a lot of fun to see how you want to get paid.
I'm going to struggle with that. I know already for two reasons. One, I've never done anything with Stripe before, but the last time I tried to do something with Stripe, my account is completely ruined because I used this weird like freelance consulting product. I think it was called Moonlight, where it connected
Moonclerk
to Stripe. No, it was Moon. I think it was called Moonlight or Moonlight, and where it connected a Stripe account for you. And even the Stripe engineers couldn't fix it. I was like, can you just remove this? Because I can't actually develop. They were like, no. I was like, right, okay. So I don't know. I'm going to maybe have to create an entirely new identity and a passport. So next week, I may be Jake Buckingham.
So the great thing with Stripe, though, is that you can, to stay in test mode, as long as you stay in test mode, you don't have to verify your account. So you can go to Stripe and start playing and run with it and doing everything, but you can't actually get paid. And I also think
did the same.
What people lured you into connecting your Stripe account with this weird thing?
I like it. I like it.
If somebody rich who recommended it to me,
oh,
messed me up.
The bros are fighting. No, but you can get a long way with Stripe, and I think probably depending on country, but I think I've seen if I sign up for a new account with Stripe, because you can be you can have one account, but you can have several kind of companies or entities inside of Stripe. If I set up a new entity now, I can start charging money, but I won't get the money out until I've verified further. So I'm wondering how much money sits in like Stripes. They're basically a bank by now, so they're probably loving collecting money they can't pay out. Anywho,
we should stop this show. Let's get this show off the air. Okay? Is that okay?
I need to do a summary. Remember to give me the time to do a summary.
1, 2, 3. Summary.
Summary. Everyone, we started with Paul's amazing site, Groovy Analytics, that looks a lot better than this, but we commented out 3JS so that my computer could actually do this stream. And Paul had already made login and we could add comments. So what we needed to do for this stream, where the challenge was to pull live data, was to create a get all comments serverless function. And Paul has all these comments saved in Fauna. So we did some Fauna magic here to get all the comments out. We did a little bit of transformation of the data and filtering of the data. And these things are really nice to do on the back end. We often call them like business logic. It's like rules of the business or the back end, or I don't know, we call them business logic. So you often want to do these things on the back end so that your front end don't have to like know a lot of things about like the messy intricacies of Fauna. For instance, if you want to change out Fauna for Sheets, Google Sheets, or anything like that, the response from your function could still be the same, but you've changed out like the whole kind of inside of this function. Yeah, so we made the function, and then we went on over and created a comments page where we want to get all the comments. We store them in a comment state that we just kind of dump out there with not much styling, but I am certain Paul will do loads of styling on it. So first thing, we created a get all comments function, and it's an asynchronous function. So it calls our serverless function. I'm just going to say function like 10 times now. that calls our serverless function and just takes that response and set the comments to be that response, because we've already transformed it and made it ready in our serverless function. And then we have a use effect that calls this when the component first renders. And then we also ask it to keep on getting all comments on an interval of a second, but you wanted this to be a minute.
Yeah, so it'd be 60,000, I think.
Yeah, so 60 times. I usually do 1,000 and then times so that I can
that's nice.
remember.
That's nice.
And then we also have to remember to clean up after ourselves, because when this component is no longer visible in the browser, we don't want it to keep polling for data, because then when you go back and it's visible again, you will have 2 pollings and then a 3rd polling, and then in the end your browser will just like, I don't want to do this anymore. And also you get some errors that aren't visible for the user, but you'll get them in the console log because you're trying to set comments on a component that doesn't exist, so this comment state doesn't exist anymore. And yeah, you need to clean up after yourself in the use effects, and you do that by returning a function, and then you do the cleanup in the function body. And that's what we did. And it looks like this. And it looks like this. Where are all the other comments?
You put filter back in. So it's only
you haven't approved all the other functions. So let's go back and have some fun again. Let's remove the filter. Let's have a look at all the comments that we have gotten in that Paul hasn't approved. Rich didn't take you up on it. He hasn't written anything mean. Okay.
You were hoping he would, weren't you?
I was! Rich, I'm disappointed in you. That is what we did today. We created a function and we called it again and again and again and again in our component.
Yeah.
Yes.
And get on FunkJam, because there's not many people on it at the moment, and it'd be cool to see what you're building. So check out Gatsby's FunkJam page and build something. If you need any help, you know where I am on Twitter.
I just forked it. I'm the third. Yeah.
Legend.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. I can see your fork.
Yes.
Woo! And then maybe we can win all the prizes.
That's first, second, and third place.
Yeah. So anybody raise your hand in the chat if you're going to join the FunkJam. And as Paul said, you know where to find him. You know where to find me. We'll help you if you get stuck on your ID.
Yeah, I'm happy to help. So let me know if you want to do something. I can work through it with you.
Okay. Are you ready, Willa?
Wrap it up.
I made some music this time because I know Paul loves it. This has been another unauthorized refuge treasure hunt in the sharky waters around the Gatsby
I love
it! We Gatsby deep diving Queen Ray and her natural pirates, Paul the Navigator, and Olavia the Gatsby Party Squad. Bye-bye, everybody. Benedict must push the button because I used both my hands.
I want to keep listening to this.
I want a song about functions. Go.
Okay.